Hey, Scott, we're going live any second now. Who do you want to do a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to my first sponsor, Jerry Cherry.
Well, Jerry Cherry,
Cherry.
Cherry, Jerry Cherry. That is a good one. Here we go. Hey guys, another amazing guest today. We have Scott Donnet with us, also known as the Foot Guy. Scott is a reflexology expert who helps his clients discover the story that their body and subconscious are trying to tell. Scott will be sharing his knowledge on the benefits of grounding and earthing and how we can enhance our personal electromagnetic connection to Mother Earth. There's This is where science and spirit come together, and I love that whole idea of science and spirit coming together to offer us balance and wellness. So let's get this going, Scott. I want to understand about earthing because I need something.
It's a deal. It's a deal.
All right. So tell me, first of all, just so we get base level, what is earthing and what is grounding?
Okay, so let's do a little bit of science and spirituality mixed. We'll start with in the land of science.
Okay.
7.38 megahertz is the frequency that the Earth vibrates at. Right? So we're talking about frequency. We're talking about the way something vibrates. We learned in fifth grade science that nothing is still, everything is vibrating. It's just the rate of vibration that gives it density and allows us to see it differently. Right?
Okay.
So why am I talking about frequency when we want to talk about grounding? Well, because there's also a frequency of the sun and the moon and all of these different planets and how they operate around us. The importance of knowing and understanding the frequency of the earth is because that's what our body attunes to.
Okay.
When we walk on it with our bare feet, it's connecting to that frequency, that vibration, and that's bringing us back to a state of balance. That's why it's important.
Okay. So what you made a really a point of saying when you walk on it with your bare feet.
Yes.
Why is that important? I mean, we walk around all the time.
Well, because it's not the act of walking, it's the act of connecting to the planet, right? So for millennia, we walked either barefoot or with some kind of skin or leather on the bottom of our feet, which would either be a neutral or a highly conductive state. So our bare feet is very conductive. We conduct electricity with our skin very effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Leather is a neutral. Rubber is an insulator. It's a byproduct of petroleum, and it insulates against all electricity and electromagnetic connection. Say that 3 times fast.
Okay. No, I can't do it.
No.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is, to walk helps our lymph system. To walk helps us to exercise and use our muscles, and those things are good. But when you're grounding, it has to be something that connects you to the earth. And if you're doing it on purpose, you want something that is conductive as opposed to neutral or insulated against. Okay. So barefoot, face down, the old adage of the hippie hugging the tree. Those are all full frontal, touching it with our skin, making a connection to the Mother Earth, which now we're bringing in the spirituality part of it, right? So now we're connecting to the feminine energies, which are nurturing and caring and loving and supportive and compassionate and all the things that are traditionally feminine. Okay. That's the energy that we're trying to create for us as we walk around in the world, is this sense of being carried by the planet. And that's how we should always feel. And I suggest that most of us don't feel that way a lot.
Gotcha. So there's a lot of people that live on the coast, and they go to the beach, and then there's some of us that live in the city and not touch nothing but concrete. And then there's people who actually have access to walking in parks or onto the actual grass and stuff. Is there a difference between walking on, say, sand? Maybe if you're at the beach and you're just laying out on the sand, versus walking on grass and laying out in the grass?
So let me start by saying any kind of barefoot walking is fantastic,
Okay.
right? Anytime you're adding things that conduct electricity better, make it better, right?
Okay.
So dew on the grass makes it better.
Okay.
Seawater in the sand makes it better. Walking on the edge of the ocean or the lake and walking along the beach, super conductive, right?
Okay.
Incredibly effective. And we've talked about in the past the ion waves that are created by water and by the moon creating waves is a secondary grounding feature that you get when you're at a body of water where there is waves.
Gotcha.
So it becomes a secondary grounding piece. So
Okay.
yes, some places are better than others, and all places that we are out in nature barefoot is powerful. The
Gotcha.
Japanese government put a plot of land aside in Japan the size of NASA, right here in Cape Canaveral,
Uh-huh.
400,000 acres or some size like that. And you know that people are stacked on top of each other 80 stories high all through Japan, right?
Uh-huh.
They can't use the north end of the island because it's still full of nuclear waste. So why on earth would they take that much property and leave it undeveloped? Well, because it's an earthing center. It's where they send 50% of their population by prescription to go walk in the woods in their bare feet.
Okay. So
That's an entire government getting behind a concept that is both spiritual and scientific in nature and has foundation in both.
so what are the like benefits that you get from earthing or grounding?
Well, immediate is the same sense as like meditation,
Okay.
right? So the initially it's a calming, it's a mellowing, it's a connecting, it's a feeling of being connected to, right? So now we're getting into that spiritual piece again of feelings,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when we become attuned to the frequency of the Earth, 7.83 megahertz, our body functions at its optimal levels. Right now, we've got to do our part. We've got to exercise and eat properly and do all those things too. But the environment is conducive for us to be operating at our best levels when we are attuned to 7.83 megahertz. That's the frequency of the planet that we live on. And when we are fully connected to that, everything operates better. Serotonin levels equal out, dopamine balances out. The ADD babies start to mellow out and calm down. um, Kids adults who suffer from autism uh, find more balance. People who suffer from depression and anxiety and PTSD and trauma related responses have less severe responses when they are in a constant state of consciously grounding. Those are just a couple of the psychological, physical, and spiritual applications of grounding. And really, Michael, the lists are kind of endless down both lines. It just depends on what level you want to use it at.
So I wonder, why haven't we as a society, or even the Japanese government, I guess, has said we're putting aside this part of the land. They're getting
Mhm.
prescriptions from doctors to go ground Earth. Why aren't we doing that in the U.S.?
In some places, we are.
Okay.
In some places, we're consciously doing it. Some businesses are consciously doing it. Um, you know, we're becoming more aware of this simple feature, and remember that our system of medicine does not function from a place of preventative care. It functions from a place of responsive care. And that's a whole different rabbit hole that we can go down on a completely different day. And I'm not anti-Western medicine, because if I break my leg, I want a guy who can fix my leg, right? I
Right.
want a guy who can set it and take pictures of it and be sure he's done a good job or she's done a good job.
Yeah.
But we operate in our Western culture from a place of lack. If we were operating from a place of let's be well, and deal with things as they break down, like most of Europe does, we would have grounding applications in place. We would have features in our healthcare system that say, if you do these positive things, go out and walk and take care of you. So then all we have to do then is take a short pivot in our own healthcare system and see where some of these healthcare, insurance companies are literally paying people to exercise more, to go out and go to the beach, to go on vacation. You get points and you can turn them in at the end of the year for Amazon money and buy Christmas presents with it. It's starting, Michael. It's starting. The value of keeping people healthy, oddly enough, has finally landed back on the insurance companies, who are going to have to change their stance, I assume, if we're going to stay healthy.
Wow. Okay, so now I was thinking about the whole thing that you were talking about with, like, the shoes stopping the conduction or whatever. So I was thinking, oh well, farmers have it really good, but then again, farmers wear the insulated shoes out in their farm, when they're doing their thing, and they run these big tractors with rubber tires, so they're not necessarily better off than, say, I am in the city, walking on the concrete all day. So what do I do if I'm in the city and I can't go out and walk on the hot concrete? What do I do?
Well, they have it a little bit better than you, but not much, because they have access to dirt. They have access to the ground, the grass, the mud, the place that things grow from. So they can take their shoes and socks off and go walk in it.
Yeah.
I lived in Toronto for most of my life. There was a couple of years that I didn't touch the earth.
Absolutely.
Period. Right. I took the subway to work. We walked on the concrete and the asphalt. There was no grass.
Right.
And there's folks in the city, it's been decades since they've touched the earth. And you're right. We are not touching the earth when we roll upon it in our cars, because they're insulated with rubber tires.
Right.
And our shoes have rubber, and they are a great shoe sole to wear for a long time and have something last, but they are not conductive. It is better to live in the country than in the city. You have access to dirt. You still have to take your socks and shoes off.
Okay.
Right. Because you're still going to be wearing rubber, and operating from rubber, because that's what our culture does. That's how we have decided we're gonna sustain ourselves in our culture. And it's not good enough to just walk on asphalt or concrete. Our houses are made of that, and rebar runs through all of it, and that throws off that electromagnetic connection. It is no longer there. So you can't count walking on the concrete. You can't, even in bare feet.
Yeah.
Because it is not the earth. It's like saying iced tea is water. It's not. It's tea.
Right. So what do you do? I mean, if you live in the city, I mean, I guess find a park or something and go walk in the park with your shoes off.
Well, here's the thing, and here's the piece that I want to leave with as many folks as I possibly can. We have grounding stations in our homes. We have the ability to ground, even if you're on the 80th floor of the building that you live in. There are two sockets that come out of the wall, and we put a fat piece and a skinny piece. And in our Western American, they go straight in like this. And then down in the bottom, there's like the open mouth of a smiley face, right?
Right.
And we call that the ground. Well, that ground is connected to every other ground in every other socket in your home, in the apartment building you live in, the skyscraper you live in the office building that you're in. And all of those grounds are all wired into one single line that goes into a piece of rebar that's jammed into the ground below the building you're in, below the home that you're in. And that's designed to take electricity strikes, lightning strikes from the sky, from the earth, from wherever they may have, from in system surges, and bring all of that energy into the ground.
Okay.
Well, if that is true, then we are eternally grounded in every single building that we're in. All we have to do is hook in to that connection. And we
Like
hook into that connection by
anchor
using
in it
grounding
or
mats
what?
and grounding sheets.
Okay, so grounding sheets, grounding
Mats. And you put
mats.
those right under your office desk, right into your bed. You can ground 24/7. We used to live on the ground, so it's not like something you can get too much of.
Mm-hmm.
So, people plug their beds in. They put this grounding sheet in, and it plugs into the wall, and the only active pieces of it is the grounding part. And that grounds to the bottom of their house. And when they lay down to go to bed at night, for as long as they're laying in their bed, there's a frequency of 7.83 megahertz emitting from that mat, allowing their body to come in alignment with the frequency of the earth.
So if I had
And
a
that is,
mat and I put it like under my desk and just had my feet on it all day, would that be cool or would that
yes,
work?
it would. It would be amazing.
Okay.
Now there's some that are filled with crystals and charged, and I don't know the efficacy of those. The science is not out yet. I don't know how they work. I love crystals. I know that even the rocks and the stones vibrate at a certain frequency, and they emit a frequency. And if you put a certain combination of crystals together, who's to say they can't emanate a frequency of 7.83 megahertz? I don't know that. But I know when you plug that sucker into the ground underneath your desk, it goes straight to a ground underneath your building, and it's grounded into the Mother Earth, and you get all of that spiritual and physiological components of being grounded at work, at rest, at play. This can be on your chair, your favorite seat, your Archie Bunker chair at the house, right? This can be
Right.
your office chair. It can be your podcast chair. You can be sitting on it with your butt. You could be, putting your feet on it as you sit there at your table. As
Okay.
long as you're connected to that with your skin, right?
Then you're
Or,
grounded.
or your sock, right? Because your sock has moisture in it. The moisture conducts electricity. It goes to your skin. So it doesn't have to be like this exact thing. Electricity is beautiful. It jumps all over the place. As long as you give it a conductive cycle, it will go where you want it to go. And that's what we're talking about.
So
Electricity.
like what are the immediate effects that someone will see? I know the meditation is good. That takes a long time to like meditate, get your mind clear and all that kind of stuff. But what are like some of the immediate effects that people might see after a day or a week or a month of doing like grounding?
You'll see it in days, and we talked a little bit about it, but the original ones are going to be circulation, a sense of calm, lowered blood pressure, better sleep,
Mm-hmm.
a sense of being less mentally stressed, the depression not so low, the anxiety not so high. The ability to be in the present moment, to be in this moment, that goal of meditation, to be in the moment, right?
Yeah.
That almost comes in a very subtle way because it's an internal right? It's an internal alignment with the sound that the earth makes.
Okay.
This sound here. You ready? Watch.
I'm ready.
Did you hear that?
I can't hear it.
You might not be able to hear it. I'll let you see it. See how those are moving?
Uh-huh.
Those are vibrating.
Is that
And
7?
they're emitting a sound. And the frequency that this thing is emitting right now
Uh-huh.
is 7.83 megahertz.
Is that what is that? A tuning fork?
That's a tuning fork, yeah. Tuning
Okay.
fork and a hockey puck.
Now, do you use that for yourself to actually like maybe stick it on your skin?
This is my wife's tool from the table over here.
Okay.
So we live in an RV, which not only is it on rubber, but it's 6 feet up off the ground.
Yes.
Right. So we're never on the ground, even when we sleep, right? Even when we plug in, sometimes we're boondocking, we're still not plugged in, right?
Right.
So we use this, and then we go outside in our bare feet consciously. But this emanates the same frequency as the earth, and she just literally hits it and listens to it a couple of times, and then her whole energy changes. She's not spinning around in circles. Her mind is more focused. Her breathing is shallower. She's able to think and get organized in her mind. Those are the immediate benefit of simply using it. We haven't even actually touched the earth yet. We've just listened to the frequency, and it altered how we were feeling inside, both physiologically and spiritually.
Totally better than a magic wand. I'm getting one. Bing. Do this. Yeah. So, hey, you know what? I love what you're saying here. I want people to just go a little bit further with you. They're going to do some this or that with you. And I want to just get a little deeper into who you are. And all I'm going to say is I'm going to give you two choices. I want you to tell me which one of these choices you take. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad, if it's up or down, if it's like, I don't get it, but you can't say both.
Okay, it's a deal.
All right. So we'll do like 8, 10, 12 of these. Earthing mat or grounding shoes?
Earthing mat.
Okay. Sun gazing or moon bathing? Sun gazing.
Moon bathing.
Okay. Yoga or Tai Chi for grounding?
Yoga.
What about cold showers or hot baths?
Cold shower.
Meditation or breath work? Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Yes, I did. I'm going to go with me. I would be meditation. And next, I would actually ask him hiking in the mountains or walking on the beach. I am definitely not a mountain climber, so that's not going to work for me. So I would probably take walking on the beach. Plus, we get that in and out wave thing going on there that I think is like amazing because I've lived on the beach before. Swimming in a lake or in a pool. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with pool because things are in the water and I'm not cool with that. And then let me see, you got herbal teas or medicinal mushrooms. I go with herbal teas. I've got a whole cabinet full of different kinds of teas and I love them. So if Scott comes back before the end, let me show you some of the cool ways of getting in touch with Scott, or the coolest way. We can get in touch with him at thefootguy.rocks. And if you guys want to see him and talk to him, that's the best way to get in touch with him at thefootguy.rocks. And that's it for tonight or today. You guys have fun, and I will see you in the future. Peace out, everybody.